The large alien ship hung in the sky above Earth, its dark metal surface reflecting the sun. Inside, Commander Zartul stared at the blue planet on the main screen. His 4 eyes blinked in sequence as he studied the reports from the scout ships. "This planet is perfect," he said to his officers. His voice was deep and rumbled in his chest. "The beings here call themselves humans. They are soft, weak. Their bodies break easily." Officer Meknar nodded. "Our scans show they have some weapons, but nothing that can hurt our ships. Their strongest metals would break against our armor." Zartul smiled, showing rows of sharp teeth. The Krillaxian Empire needed more planets. They needed more resources. Earth had plenty of both, and these humans would be easy to control. His people were stronger, smarter, and had better technology. The humans wouldn't stand a chance. "Begin the invasion," Zartul ordered. "Target their military bases first, then their government buildings. We will crush their will to fight quickly." Across the Earth, people went about their normal day. They drove to work. They walked their dogs. They shopped for food. None of them knew what was coming. Noah Campbell wrote math problems on the board as his students worked quietly at their desks. He was 35 years old with brown hair that was starting to thin and kind blue eyes behind simple glasses. The high school in rural Michigan wasn't fancy, but he loved teaching here. The students respected him even if they didn't always love science class. "Mr. Campbell?" A girl raised her hand. "I don't understand this formula." Noah walked over to help her when a bright flash lit up the sky outside. The windows rattled. Then came a boom so loud it shook dust from the ceiling. The students looked up in fear. Noah kept his face calm even as his heart raced. "Everyone under your desks," he said quietly. "Just like we practice for tornadoes." As the students ducked down, Noah went to the window. In the distance, he could see smoke rising from the direction of the nearby Air Force base. Something was very wrong. 200 miles away in Chicago, Olivia Martinez was working late at her office. Numbers filled the screen of her computer as she finished the quarterly reports for her company. She was good with numbers. She could spot patterns that others missed. That skill made her a valuable accountant, and it also made her an excellent shot at the gun range where she practiced every weekend. The building shook suddenly. Olivia stood up and looked out the window of her high-rise office. Down below, people were running in the streets. In the distance, strange aircraft with glowing engines flew between the buildings. They didn't look like any planes she had ever seen. "This can't be good," she whispered to herself. She grabbed her phone and her purse and headed for the stairs. Something told her the elevators wouldn't be safe. In a quiet neighborhood in Portland, William Richardson, Bill to his friends, was tending to his tomato plants. At 71, his hands were wrinkled, but still strong from years of gardening. He moved slowly among his plants, his back bent with age. No one would guess that 50 years ago, Bill had been able to move through dense jungle without making a sound. The sound of jets overhead made Bill look up. These weren't normal planes. They moved too smoothly, too quickly, and they were firing something at the ground. Bill didn't panic. He carefully put down his gardening tools and went inside his small house. From the top shelf of his closet, he pulled down an old wooden box. Inside was a gun he hadn't touched in decades. He hoped he wouldn't need it, but experience had taught him to be prepared. The first wave of the Krillaxian attack was over in minutes. Their ships destroyed military bases, government buildings, and communication centers across the world. Human planes tried to fight back, but their weapons couldn't penetrate the alien shields. In his ship, Zartul watched the reports come in. "Excellent," he said. "Their resistance is even weaker than we expected. Begin the second wave." The second wave of ships landed in major cities. Alien soldiers poured out, their bodies covered in natural armor that gleamed like metal in the sun. They were 7 feet tall with 4 arms and skin the color of ash. Each one was as strong as 3 human men. Noah Campbell led his students through the school hallways as the building shook from nearby explosions. "Stay together," he told them calmly. "We're going to the basement." In the basement, other teachers and students were already gathering. The principal looked frightened. "What's happening?" she asked Noah when he arrived. "I think we're being invaded," Noah said simply. Outside, he projected calm, but inside his mind was already working on what to do next. Where to find weapons, how to secure food, how to keep these children safe. Olivia Martinez made it down 30 flights of stairs before the aliens entered her building. She hid under a desk in a dark office as they marched past, their heavy footsteps shaking the floor. Their voices were strange, like rocks grinding together. She held her breath until they passed, then slipped out a back door into an alley. The streets of Chicago were chaos. People ran screaming as alien soldiers rounded them up. Some humans fought back with whatever they could find. Baseball bats, kitchen knives, heavy tools. The aliens brushed off these attacks like they were nothing. Olivia moved carefully from building to building, avoiding open spaces. She needed to get home where she had her guns. Then she would figure out what to do next. Bill Richardson watched from his window as alien ships flew overhead. His neighborhood was quiet for now, but he could see smoke rising from downtown Portland. He turned on his old radio and twisted the dial, trying to find news. Most stations were static, but he finally found a weak signal. Unknown attackers. Military bases destroyed. Stay in your homes. The broadcast cut off suddenly. Bill nodded to himself. He went to his kitchen and began emptying his cabinets. He filled bottles with water. He packed dried food into bags. His movements were quick and sure, like he had done this before. Within hours, major cities around the world were under alien control. Human military forces that survived the first attack tried to fight back, but they were overwhelmed by the aliens' superior weapons and armor. Commander Zartul addressed his officers as footage from Earth played on the screens around them. Humans were being herded into groups by alien soldiers. Some fought, most obeyed, their faces showing fear and confusion. "As you can see," Zartul said proudly, "these humans have already accepted defeat. They are soft creatures who live in comfort. They have forgotten how to fight, how to survive." He pointed to images of humans working in offices, driving cars, shopping in malls. "Look at them. They depend on machines for everything. They have no natural defenses, no claws, no armor." Officer Vexnor, the ship's lead scientist, studied the humans on the screen with interest. "They are physically weak," she agreed. "But our initial scans show interesting brain activity, complex social structures, and their historical records show remarkable adaptability." Zartul dismissed her concerns with a wave of his hand. "They were no match for us. The occupation will be simple. Mark my words. Within one cycle, they will be working for us without complaint." As night fell on the first day of the invasion, Noah Campbell led a group of students and teachers through the woods behind the school. They moved quietly, avoiding roads and open areas. Noah had lived in these woods as a boy. He knew every path, every cave, every place to hide. In Chicago, Olivia Martinez gathered supplies in her apartment. She laid her guns on the table and cleaned each one carefully. Then she mapped out routes to leave the city, marking alien checkpoints she had seen. Bill Richardson sat on his porch in the dark, listening. His neighborhood was still quiet, but he could hear distant explosions. He sipped tea and waited. He was good at waiting. The Krillaxians had won the first battle easily, but there was something they didn't understand about humans, something they would learn soon enough. The war had just begun. 6 months had passed since the Krillaxians took over Earth. Their tall metal buildings now stood in every major city. Alien flags flew where human flags once waved. Most humans had accepted their new lives under alien rule. It was easier to obey than to die. Commander Zartul looked out from his office on the 200th floor of what used to be the Empire State Building. New York City spread out below him, now filled with Krillaxian troops and technology. Humans moved through the streets, like ants going to the jobs the aliens had given them. "Our work assignment program is going well," said Officer Mechnar, standing at attention. "We have sorted the humans based on their physical abilities. The stronger ones work in factories. The smarter ones process data. The rest clean and serve food, Zartul nodded, pleased. And the resistance? Small and weak, Meknar said. We crush their little groups whenever we find them. Most humans are too afraid to join. Across the country, Noah Campbell washed dishes in a Kralaxian food center. The aliens ate different food than humans, but they still used plates and cups that needed cleaning. It was simple work that kept him fed. Each day he wore the same gray uniform all human workers had to wear. A small scanner on his wrist tracked his movements. As he worked, Noah watched the aliens. He noticed how they moved, how their armor had small gaps at the joints, how they turned their heads to see behind them because they couldn't turn their necks very far. He stored this information away, like filing papers in a cabinet in his mind. When his shift ended, Noah walked back to the small apartment he shared with 4 other men. The aliens had moved humans into tight living spaces to make them easier to control. On his way, he passed a woman sweeping the street. Their eyes met briefly. It was Diane Lewis, who used to be a doctor before the invasion. Now she cleaned streets. She dropped something as he walked by. Noah bent down as if to help and quickly put the small piece of paper in his pocket. Later, in the bathroom of his apartment where there were no cameras, he read the message. Meeting tonight. Same place. In Chicago, Olivia Martinez worked in a processing center. Her job was to enter numbers into alien computers. The work was boring, but it gave her access to information. She could see shipping schedules, supply routes, guard rotations. She memorized what she could. Her supervisor, a Kralaxian named Grex, watched her closely. You work well, he said in his rough voice. Better than most humans. Olivia smiled meekly. Thank you, sir. I just want to be useful. Grex nodded. Good human. Maybe you get better food next week. After work, Olivia stopped at the market where humans could trade their work credits for food. As she picked through the vegetables, a young man bumped into her. Sorry, he said. But as he moved away, she felt something in her pocket. Another message. In Portland, Bill Richardson worked in the gardens that grew food for the aliens. His knowledge of plants had kept him from being sent to the factories where older humans often died from the hard work. The aliens thought gardening was easy work for the old and weak. They didn't realize that Bill's careful hands could do more than grow plants. The alien guard watching the gardeners was young and bored. He often played with a small device instead of watching the humans. Bill studied the device from the corner of his eye. It looked like a communication tool, similar to the ones all the guards carried. Garden human, the guard called to Bill. More water there. Bill nodded respectfully and moved to water the plants where the guard pointed. As he passed close to the alien, his foot caught on a root and he stumbled, falling against the guard. Sorry, sir, Bill said, his voice shaking with what seemed like fear. My old legs are not good. The guard pushed him away in disgust. Weak human. Be careful or get punished. Bill went back to his work, his face down, looking sorry. But in his sleeve was the small device he had taken from the guard's belt when he fell. The guard wouldn't notice it was missing until his shift ended. By then, Bill would have learned what he needed from it. That night, Noah slipped out of his apartment after curfew. He moved through dark streets, staying in shadows. Alien patrols passed by with bright lights, but Noah knew how to avoid them. He had been doing this for months. He reached an old church basement where 20 humans gathered, quietly. Among them was Diane the street sweeper, who was really Dr. Lewis. There was also Joe, who worked in an alien food center but had been a police officer before. Maria had been a college student. Now she worked in a factory but knew how to fix radios. I have the medicine, Diane whispered, showing small vials she had stolen from the alien medical center where she cleaned floors. I copied the patrol schedules for next week, Noah said. They're changing the routes. I can get us past the checkpoints, said Joe. I've been watching the new scanners. I know how they work. In Chicago, Olivia slipped into an abandoned subway tunnel. More people waited there. Other office workers, factory workers, even some human guards who worked for the aliens during the day, but helped the resistance at night. I have news, Olivia said. A big supply ship is landing on Thursday. They're bringing in new weapons. Keith Jackson nodded. He had been a delivery driver before the invasion. Now he drove trucks for the aliens, moving supplies between their bases. "I can get us a truck," he said. "If we wear the right uniforms, we can get close." Grace Hoffman sat quietly in the corner. She was small and thin with nervous hands. Before the invasion, she had been a nurse. Now she worked in an alien medical center, cleaning up after the alien doctors who treated injured Kralaxians. "I've been collecting information about their bodies," Grace said softly. "They have weak points. Their skin is tough, but they have a spot at the base of their skull that isn't protected. In Portland, Bill met with his own group in the back room of what used to be a bar. He showed them the device he had taken. It's their communication device," he explained. "I figured out some basic commands. We can listen to their channels now." A young woman named Mia looked impressed. Before the invasion, she had worked in a coffee shop. Now she cleaned alien homes. "How did you learn their language?" she asked. Bill smiled. His face looked kind and grandfatherly, but his eyes were sharp. "I used to work with communication equipment a long time ago," was all he said. In his command center, Zartul received reports from all over the country. Most were routine. Humans working, humans eating, humans sleeping. But there were small problems too. Missing supplies, broken equipment, guards finding their patrols harder to complete as humans found ways to delay them with small accidents or distractions. "Nothing serious," Meknar assured him. "Just small annoyances." But Vexnor, the scientist, looked troubled. "The patterns concern me," she said. "These incidents are increasing and they seem coordinated." Zartul dismissed her concerns. "They are just scared animals acting out. They will learn." But across the country, humans were doing more than just acting out. They were watching, learning, planning. The resistance was growing stronger every day. The humans who seemed weak and defeated during the day became something else at night. The aliens believed they had won. They didn't understand that the real fight had only just begun. Commander Zartul slammed his fist on the table. Reports from across the country showed increasing problems. A supply depot in Atlanta was missing food and medicine. Communication towers in Denver kept failing. 3 patrols in Seattle had gone missing in the past week. "Find who is responsible," he shouted at his officers. "These humans are testing my patience." Officer Meknar looked nervous. "We are trying, Commander. But the humans, they are becoming harder to control." Vexnor, the scientist, stepped forward with a data pad. "I have been studying them more closely. They have some interesting traits that our initial reports missed." Zartul glared at her but nodded for her to continue. "For example," she said, "humans can go with very little sleep for days when needed. They can eat almost anything to survive. And they have remarkable pain tolerance." She showed him videos of humans continuing to work with injuries that would stop a Kralaxian. "So they are tough for weak creatures," Zartul said dismissively. "This does not explain the resistance." "There's more," Vexnor insisted. "Their historical records show they have fought wars constantly throughout their history. They have always found ways to kill each other even with primitive tools. And they adapt quickly." Meknar looked worried. "Should we be concerned?" Zartul laughed. "About these soft creatures? No. Double the patrols. Increase punishments. They will learn to obey." In Michigan, Noah Campbell led a training session in the woods. 10 people from his resistance cell practiced moving quietly through the trees. They had been factory workers, teachers, and store clerks before the invasion. Now Noah taught them how to become something else. "Step where I step," he whispered. "Feel the ground first. Soft parts make no sound." They followed him through the forest, learning to move like shadows. Noah had always enjoyed hiking these woods. What the others didn't know was that he had also been a park ranger for 5 years. He knew how to track animals, how to move without being seen, how to survive with almost nothing. Later, as they sat in a small clearing, Joe asked, "Where did you learn all this?" Noah smiled slightly. "My grandfather taught me. He was a hunter." This was true, but not the whole truth. Noah did not mention his 4 years in the army, or the special training he had received. That was a different life, one he had left behind until now. In Chicago, Olivia coordinated messages between resistance cells. Her apartment walls were covered with papers and maps that looked like work she had brought home. But hidden in the numbers and charts were codes and plans. When someone knocked on her door, she quickly covered her work with normal papers. It was Grace, the nurse. "I brought it," Grace whispered, handing over a small vial. "It won't kill them, but it will make them very sick." Olivia took the vial carefully. "Are you sure it can't be traced?" Grace nodded. "It looks like a normal stomach illness. I've been studying their biology when I clean their medical center. They have strong bodies but weak digestive systems." Olivia smiled. Before the invasion, Grace had been so shy she could barely speak to strangers. Now she was creating poisons for alien soldiers. People changed when they needed to. In Portland, Bill Richardson was teaching younger members of his resistance cell how to set traps. His wrinkled hands moved with surprising speed as he demonstrated. "Like this," he said, showing how to bend wire into a simple but effective snare. "Nothing fancy. Simple works best." Mia watched him carefully. "Were you a hunter before?" she asked. Bill's eyes grew distant. "No. I was in Vietnam. A long time ago." He didn't elaborate. He didn't tell them about the years he spent in jungles setting traps for enemy soldiers. Those memories had haunted him for decades. Now they were useful again. Vexnor worked late in her lab on the alien mothership. She had collected hundreds of hours of video showing humans in different situations. She watched them work, eat, and interact with each other and with Krillaxians. Something about their behavior bothered her. She played a video of a human woman cleaning an alien officer's quarters. The woman seemed meek and frightened, keeping her eyes down. But when the officer left the room, the woman's posture changed slightly. Her eyes scanned the room quickly, noting everything. It was subtle, but Vexnor saw it. Another video showed a young human man dropping boxes while unloading a supply ship. He seemed clumsy and apologized repeatedly. But Vexnor noticed how the boxes that broke open contained nothing important, while the ones with weapons remained untouched. They're acting, she realized. Pretending to be weaker and less intelligent than they are. She compiled her findings and requested a meeting with Commander Zartul. He reluctantly agreed to see her the next day. That night, Noah's resistance cell put their plan into action. They moved silently through the forest toward the alien communication tower. Guards patrolled the fence, their heavy footsteps easy to track in the darkness. "Now," Noah whispered when the patrol passed. Joe quickly cut through the fence while Maria prepared the small explosive device they had built from stolen chemicals. It wasn't powerful, but it would damage the tower's main control panel. In Chicago, Keith drove the stolen alien supply truck with Olivia beside him. They both wore the gray uniforms of human workers. At the checkpoint, Keith showed the forged papers Olivia had created. The alien guard barely looked at them. After months of occupation, the Krillaxians had grown comfortable. They no longer saw humans as a threat. "Delivery for the barracks," Keith said, his voice respectful. The guard waved them through. Once inside the compound, Olivia directed Keith to the kitchen delivery area. Workers unloaded the food supplies, never noticing the extra container Grace had prepared. By morning, 50 alien soldiers would be too sick to patrol. In Portland, Bill's group targeted the power station that supplied electricity to the alien command center. They didn't try to destroy it. That would bring immediate and harsh response. Instead, they made small changes to the control systems. The power would work, but it would fluctuate. Computers would reset randomly. Communications would drop for short periods. "Death by 1,000 cuts," Bill told his team. "We make their lives difficult in ways they can't easily fix." The next morning, Vexnor presented her findings to Commander Zartul and his officers. She showed them the videos, the patterns she had found, the historical records of human warfare. "They are not what we thought," she explained. "They appear weak, but they have remarkable endurance. They seem to accept defeat, but they are actually highly resistant to psychological control. Zartul looked annoyed. They have no claws, no armor, no strength. Their weapons were primitive. We defeated them easily. We defeated their formal military, Vexnor agreed. But humans have a long history of what they call asymmetric warfare. Small groups fighting against larger forces through sabotage, ambush, and deception. Meknar shifted uncomfortably. The missing patrols, the supply problems. Vexnor nodded. Exactly. These are not random incidents. This is a coordinated strategy. Zartul still looked unconvinced. They are just animals trying to... An alarm suddenly blared through the command center. Reports flooded in from across the country. Communication towers down, power fluctuations, sick soldiers, missing supplies. And in 3 cities, the alien flags had been replaced with human flags during the night. For the first time, Zartul felt a flicker of doubt. These humans were more dangerous than they appeared. The question was, how much more dangerous? Commander Zartul stood before the holographic map showing all of Earth. Red dots blinked across the continents, each one representing a problem reported in the last 24 hours. There were hundreds of them. This cannot continue, he growled to his officers. Find their leaders and destroy them. Officer Meknar nodded nervously. We have identified a possible resistance location in Michigan. Our intelligence suggests they use an abandoned farm as a meeting place. Zartul's eyes narrowed. Send in the Elite Guard. No survivors. The Elite Guard was a special unit of Kralaxian soldiers. They were bigger, stronger, and better trained than regular troops. Their armor was thicker, and their weapons more powerful. They had crushed rebellions on 12 different planets. No one had ever stood against them and lived. Noah Campbell received the warning just 1 hour before the attack. A human who cleaned the alien command center had overheard the orders and passed the message through the resistance network. Everyone out, Noah ordered. The 6 people with him at the farm quickly gathered their essential supplies. They're sending their best troops. Joe looked worried. Should we run? Hide in the woods? Noah shook his head. No. We've prepared for this. His eyes were calm but had a hardness that his former students would not have recognized. Get to your positions. In Chicago. Olivia received the news about the Elite Guard being deployed. She immediately sent warnings to all resistance cells. Then she called an emergency meeting in the abandoned subway tunnel. They're escalating, she told the 20 people gathered there. This means our efforts are working. They're getting desperate. Keith looked troubled. But if they send these elite guards everywhere, many of us will die. Some of us will, Olivia agreed. She had lost the soft look of an office worker. Her face was thinner now, her eyes sharper. But we've hurt them enough that they're changing. Tactics. Now we change ours too. In Portland, Bill gathered his group in their hidden meeting place. The farm in Michigan will be attacked tonight, he told them. Noah's group is ready. Ready for elite guards? Mia asked, looking scared. How can they fight such soldiers? Bill's weathered face showed no fear. Noah was special forces before he became a teacher. He knows what he's doing. This was news to many in the group. They had known Noah only as a resistance leader, not as a former soldier. Many of us had different lives before, Bill explained, seeing their surprise. Lives we thought we had left behind, but we never really stopped being who we were. We just went dormant for a while. As night fell over the Michigan farm, Noah and his team finished their preparations. They had set traps around the perimeter, hidden weapons in strategic locations, prepared escape routes. Everything was ready. Remember, Noah told his people as they took their positions, they expect scared civilians. They don't know who we really are. The Kralaxian transport ships landed half a mile from the farm. 20 elite guards emerged, their armor gleaming in the moonlight. They moved with confidence, sure of an easy victory. Their commander, Drakval, studied the farm through advanced optical sensors. Spread out, he ordered. Surround the buildings. No one escapes. The alien soldiers moved forward, weapons ready. They reached the first field without incident. Then one of them triggered a hidden wire. Suddenly, the irrigation pipes beneath the field burst open, but instead of water, they sprayed a mixture of gasoline and oil. A moment later, the entire field ignited into flames. 3 elite guards were caught in the blaze. Their armor protected them from the worst of it, but their optical sensors were temporarily blinded. "Primitive trap," Drakval growled. "Continue forward." They pushed through, reaching the edge of the farm buildings. It seemed too quiet. Too easy. Drakval sensed danger. "Check for more traps," he ordered. One soldier stepped forward to scan the barn. That's when Noah fired the first shot from his hidden position in the silo. The bullet found the small gap in the elite guard's armor at the neck joint. The alien fell. The other guards took cover, surprised by the precision of the shot. They had been told humans were poor fighters with inaccurate weapons. "Return fire," Drakval ordered. The barn erupted in energy blasts, the wood splintering and burning. But Noah wasn't in the barn. Neither were any of his people. They had hidden in tunnels beneath the farm, in the silo, in the trees beyond the house. Places the aliens didn't think to look. Joe fired next, his shot taking down another elite guard. Before the invasion, Joe had been a police sniper. He hadn't told many people about this part of his life. Now his skills were needed again. The elite guards began to realize this wasn't going to be the easy mission they expected. These humans weren't running in fear. They were fighting with strategy and precision. "They are well trained," Drakval said into his communicator. "Request backup." On the alien command ship, Zartul watched the live feed from the elite guards' armor cameras. He saw one guard after another fall to precise shots from hidden human positions. This was not the resistance he had expected. "Who are these humans?" he demanded. Vexnor stood nearby, her research data displayed on screens around her. "I tried to tell you," she said. "Humans have been fighting wars for their entire history. They are predators." On the screen, they watched as Drakval's camera suddenly went dark. The elite guard commander had been taken down. Vexnor pulled up records on the farm's location. This area was home to a human named Noah Campbell. Before he was a teacher, he was a soldier in their special forces. Many of these resistance leaders have similar backgrounds. They appear to be ordinary civilians, but they have combat training. Zartul slammed his fist on the console. "Then we will send more troops. We will crush them with numbers." "That may not work," Vexnor warned. "Look at this." She showed him footage from Chicago, where Olivia's resistance cell had taken over an entire alien supply depot. The human guards who worked for the aliens had turned on their masters. In Portland, Bill's group had disabled the city's alien security network. "These are coordinated attacks," Vexnor explained. "While we focused on Michigan, they struck elsewhere." For the first time, real worry showed on Zartul's face. "How many of them are trained fighters?" "That's what you don't understand," Vexnor said quietly. "They all are. Or they can become fighters when needed." She showed him historical images of human civilians taking up arms during wars, of office workers becoming soldiers, of farmers becoming snipers. "Their entire species evolved as predators," she continued. "They appear peaceful during normal times, but they can switch to combat mode when threatened. Every human has this potential." Back at the Michigan farm, the remaining elite guards retreated to their transport ships. Half their unit was dead or wounded. They had never failed a mission before. As Noah watched them go from his hidden position in the trees, he felt no joy in the victory, only grim determination. The real war was just beginning. In his command center, Zartul came to a chilling realization. His species had invaded many planets and subjugated many races, but they had never encountered a species quite like humans before. They had not conquered docile prey as they thought. They had awakened dormant apex predators. And now they would pay the price. 1 month after the battle at the Michigan farm, the world had changed. The Kralaxian invasion force was in trouble. Across the planet, humans were fighting back. Not just in small ways now, but in organized, effective operations that the aliens couldn't stop. Commander Zartul stared at the reports with growing dread. Half of his bases had been attacked. Supply lines were disrupted. Communication was unreliable. Even some of the human collaborators who had worked for the aliens had turned against them, revealing themselves as resistance spies. How did we not see this coming? Zartul asked, his voice tired. Vexnor stood quietly nearby. We saw what we expected to see, she said. We thought they were weak because they looked different from us. No claws, no armor, no obvious weapons. But we missed what makes them dangerous. She showed him new research she had compiled. Humans evolved as pursuit predators. They can track prey for days, walking or running until other animals collapse from exhaustion. They can throw objects with deadly accuracy. They can make weapons from almost anything. But most importantly, they can switch from peaceful to deadly in moments. On the screen, she displayed images of ordinary household items that resistance fighters had turned into weapons. Kitchen knives, garden tools, cleaning chemicals combined to make explosives. Every human home contained potential weapons, Vexnor explained. Every human knew how to use them. We never disarmed them because we didn't recognize their weapons. In Chicago, Olivia led a planning meeting in a large basement that had once been a restaurant. 50 resistance leaders from across the Midwest had gathered. The room had changed from the early days of small scared groups. Now they had maps, communication equipment, and proper weapons taken from alien soldiers. The Michigan victory showed us what we can do, Olivia said. Her voice was confident, her eyes sharp and focused. The soft office worker was gone. In her place stood a general planning a war. Now we take back our cities. Keith nodded. My drivers are ready. We can hit all their fuel depots at once. Grace, no longer timid, explained the new chemical weapon she had developed. It won't kill them, but it will disable their breathing filters. They'll have to retreat to their ships. In Portland, Bill met with resistance leaders from the West Coast. His group had grown from a handful of people to hundreds. They had taken over an entire neighborhood, hiding it from alien patrols with clever camouflage and hacked security systems. The aliens are preparing to bring in reinforcements from orbit, Bill told the group. We need to disrupt their landing zones. Mia, now a skilled fighter, pointed to the map. We've placed explosives here, here, and here. We can trigger them remotely when their ships land. Bill nodded, his old eyes gleaming with approval. Good. Remember what we learned? They expect a frontal assault. They don't understand stealth and deception. Use that against them. Noah had become a legend among the resistance after the Michigan battle. He now led a mobile training group, traveling between cities to teach fighting techniques to new resistance cells. Currently, he was in what used to be Denver, working with a group of former office workers. You don't need fancy weapons, he explained as they practiced in an abandoned warehouse. Anything can be a weapon in the right hands. Your greatest advantage is that they don't expect you to fight well. A young woman who had been a bank teller before the invasion looked doubtful. But they're so strong. Their armor is so thick. Noah smiled slightly. Strong doesn't always win. Smart wins, quick wins, determined wins. They may be stronger, but you're fighting for your home. That makes you more dangerous than they can imagine. On the alien command ship, Zartul called an emergency meeting with his officers. The holographic display showed alien territories shrinking across the planet as more cities fell under human control. We must consider evacuation, Meknar suggested, his voice low. This planet may be too costly to hold. Zartul wanted to argue, but the evidence was clear. His invasion force was being defeated not by a superior army, but by what had appeared to be harmless civilians. First, I want to understand them better, he said finally. Vexnor, arrange a meeting with one of their leaders, under a flag of truce. Vexnor was surprised, but nodded. I will try. The meeting was arranged at a neutral location, an empty field outside what used to be St. Louis. Zartul arrived with 10 guards. Noah came with Olivia and Bill, representing the resistance leadership. The two groups faced each other across the field. The aliens towered over the humans, their natural armor gleaming in the sun. But there was hesitation in their posture now, a new respect tinged with fear. You fight well for creatures so small, Zartul said, trying to sound confident. But we can bring more ships, more soldiers. Why continue this battle? Noah's face showed no emotion. Because this is our home, and we will never stop fighting for it. Zartul studied him. You were a teacher. Before. How does a teacher fight so well? I was a soldier first, Noah said. Like many of us. We became other things during peace. Teachers, office workers, gardeners. But we never forgot how to fight. Vexnor stepped forward. This is what I tried to explain, Commander. Humans are not what they appear to be. They adapted to look peaceful during normal times, but they carry their predator nature inside them, dormant but ready. Olivia nodded. Every human civilization teaches its young how to fight, even in times of peace. We call it sports or games or fitness, but we're really teaching hunting and fighting skills. Bill spoke up, his voice showing his age but still strong. Your mistake was thinking we were weak because we didn't look like you. You judged us by your standards. Zartul considered their words. His species had evolved with natural weapons, claws, armor, strength. They had never needed to develop the human ability to switch between peaceful civilian and deadly fighter. They were always visibly dangerous. Humans were different. They could seem harmless one moment, then reveal themselves as killers the next. It was a type of camouflage his people had never encountered before. I will recommend withdrawal, Zartul said finally. This planet is not worth the cost. 1 week later, the alien ships began to leave Earth's atmosphere. Humans around the world watched as their cities were abandoned by the Krillaxians. The occupation that was supposed to last forever had lasted less than a year. On the main command, ship Vexnor completed her final research report. It would be sent to all spacefaring civilizations as a warning. Humans appear to be simple, peaceful beings during normal times. This is deceptive. They are dormant apex predators who can rapidly transform when threatened. There are no true civilians among them as we understand the concept. There are only predators at rest. Approach with extreme caution. As the last alien ship disappeared from view, Noah stood with Olivia and Bill on a hilltop, watching the sky. Tior, you think they'll come back? Olivia asked. Noah shook his head. No, they learned their lesson. Bill smiled slightly. They thought we were sheep. They didn't realize we were wolves in sheep's clothing. Around them, humans began to rebuild their world. They would return to being teachers, office workers, and gardeners. The predator would go dormant again, but it would always be there, ready to awaken if needed. The aliens had learned a chilling truth. On Earth, even the civilians were dangerous.